When she heard the first meow, she brushed it off as her students being mischievous. Then the second one came and she purposefully ignored it. But she knew something was off at the third. She quickly set her roll call sheet aside and hurried to the back of the class. She didn't expect what she found. Danny Rausch was a Spanish teacher living in California. She'd been teaching for the last 2 years, helping kids all over San Francisco learn Spanish. A native of California, Danny loved the melding of cultures and perspectives in the state, but none of it would have prepared her for what she experienced that day. Danny had recently applied to grad school for a master's in education. She had less time to teach than she wanted to. To pay her bills, Danny took on substitute teaching. She'd found an opening as a substitute Spanish teacher in her city. Excited to start her new job, Danny left home early that morning. She had no clue how much the day would affect her teaching career. Danny walked into class after all the kids settled as part of her first day routine. Her sign swept from one corner of the classroom to the other. A smile bloomed on her face. There was nothing she loved more than eager minds ready to learn. She took out her attendance sheet and called the first name on the list, and then it happened. The sound made the class giggle and Danny glanced up from her sheet. She smiled, ignoring the meow and reading the next name. Another meow split the air, followed by a third one. That's it. Danny set the attendance sheet aside and looked around. "Excuse me, who's doing that?" She wasn't prepared for the answer she got. "Meow," came the answer. Irritation flared within Danny. She breathed out steadily, knowing how playful high school could sometimes be. But a girl at the front of the class awkwardly raised her hand. When Danny nodded at her, she said, "You have to meow back at him. He identifies as a cat." Danny's jaw slackened. "I have to do what?" Danny asked, her smile holding fast. "Meow back at him," repeated the girl. "Meow," the sound went again. This time, Danny pinpointed its source. She walked to the back of the classroom where a boy sat with his head held low. "Meow?" he asked, and Danny did the unexpected. "Is there a litter box somewhere in here?" Danny asked, and the class burst out laughing. The boy shot to his feet with a glare. He ran his gaze up and down Danny and hissed. He meowed one last time before stomping out of the classroom. Danny chuckled, seeing it as all good harmless fun on the first day, but it didn't stop there. As the boy walked out the door, Danny made a woof sound. The laughter in the class doubled. Danny laughed along, hoping it was over. She finished her roll call and set to teaching the class. The boy returned after some minutes and Danny smiled at him. Although his lips curled back at her, Danny knew something was amiss. The class ended well, as Danny expected. She collected her teaching materials and walked into the office. On her way, Danny smiled. She'd enjoyed her interaction with the student and found his perspective on life unique. But her thoughts were interrupted by the school secretary. "Miss Rausch," the secretary called. "The principal would like to see you in his office, thank you." Danny nodded at the lady and quickly changed her trajectory. She'd meant to make her teaching materials to the office first before seeing the principal anyway, so this worked out fine for her. She knocked on the door expecting a warm greeting, and she received none. "Sit," the principal almost commanded. Danny couldn't believe what the principal said next. "We no longer need your services," the principal said. "If you can't identify with all the children in the classroom, then we can't continue working together." Danny used everything in her to keep her lips from curving. She realized the principal was serious about the matter. She would match the principal's energy with her answer. "I didn't know cats were considered people," Danny said. "I thought they were pets." Was that a twitch on the principal's jaw? "I'm sorry," Danny said. "I understand what these kids go through every day. It's not easy for them." As part of Danny's grad school education, she learned ways to make education more comfortable for students. Could she apply anything she learned there? "I appreciate that the student identifies as a cat," Danny said. "It makes him unique. Maybe we could find ways to make him more comfortable in class." When the principal took an interest, she continued, "We could focus on his likes, maybe encourage sincere communication. There's a lot these kids have bottled up, and we can help them." The principal leaned forward. What he said shocked Danny. "You seem to know a lot about this," the principal said, and Danny nodded. "If you're up for it," he continued, "you can incorporate what you're talking about into our teaching programs." Danny gave another nod. She'd wanted a chance to apply what she was learning in a real-life education setting. "When can I start?" she asked the principal.